Good. It was morning 2 minutes ago. My name is Kim. I'm the Children and Young Adult Consultant with the Connecticut State Library. I'm here with Jared from the Cheshire Library. I'm proud to say that is one of my liaison libraries here, broken down in the state of Connecticut, to tell us about an AV studio, which I'm really excited about. Are VHS tapes involved or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Any kind of deprecated older format, VHS is one of our highly trafficked items.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm excited to hear about it. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, of course, then, Kim. Thank you for having me on.
All right. So yeah, let us know, like, what is it? How'd you get the funding for it? Anything else you want to share? I'm really excited. Is it like a makerspace kind of situation or something all on its own? Give us all the deets because I guarantee at least one, if not like more than that, people want to know.
Sure, sure. So yeah, our AV studio, it's very much like a makerspace in that you can kind of come and bring your own project and you kind of have free reign of the equipment. And we have staff available to train and get you started. But yeah, actually, the idea for it even predated my position here when the Friends of the Library thought it might be a good idea to have some equipment that could sort of digitize and immortalize people's old tapes from the 90s, VHS, old camcorder tapes, all these old sort of now deprecated formats that are slowly decomposing in people's basements that they really don't want to lose forever. Yeah, so shortly after, I was kind of tasked with piecing all the equipment together. But yeah, I mean, how it works is you essentially make an appointment, come down. It's a large screen Mac computer, as well as a bunch of different tape decks and reels for most every kind of older format from the 80s and 90s. Yeah, so you really you bring your equipment down or your tapes down. We give you a quick run through on how to use it until you're comfortable. And then, yeah, you'll pop in your media, let it roll. And by the end of the session, you have a digital file of your old home movies or whatever the media was that you brought in.
Oh, I was just going to ask that because, like, man, I hate to say, we definitely still have some like orange Rugrat tapes like under the basement at my parents' house. And I'm pretty sure I
Sure.
recorded Little Shop of Horrors. Now that I think about that, probably illegally,
Yep.
off the TV way back in the day. And my first thought, I hate to say this, was, oh, yeah, and you recorded onto a CD or a DVD, right? And then, like, as I thought that, I was like, no, we don't have those anymore. So you're saying that if someone were to bring in like an old camcorder video from little Susie in the Christmas pageant, back in the early 90s, y'all have a system that will upload that to a digital file for them to like have on their computer. Is that how that works?
That is exactly right. Yep. So one of the challenges of putting it together was that throughout the 80s and 90s, there were so many different formats of those smaller camcorder tapes. So we kind of had to track down a specific deck for each that's, it kind of works like a VCR just for that tape. But that's exactly it. People will come down and we've definitely had some, student recital pageants and a few things that exactly to that example. But it's funny you mentioned that because people come down and they ask, can I put this onto a DVD from VHS? And though our AV studio here can do that, it's funny because we've kind of progressed beyond that now. So I even recommend going right to digital because at this point, if you burn to DVD, you're going from one older format to another limited older format. Whereas if you put it in digital, you can upload to the cloud, make copies, email, YouTube.
It's
You got
almost
more.
terrifying. I mean, my brain did exactly that as I'm sitting in front of a computer that does not have a CD-ROM, and I drove here in a car that does not have a CD player. But it seems like that's still for us, like old millennials and up, I guess, like that's still kind of your format because we all remember going from VHS tape to DVD, and even though we all stream, I don't know, there's still something about that still like sort of sits in the mind, I guess.
Right. And I think that's because it's really the last physical copy or physical medium.
I think you're right. The last thing that we could hold in our hands. Yeah. Oh, I feel old. This is sad.
Yep.
I wasn't wasn't prepared to come in. I was like, I've got Instagram, I've got TikTok, I'm hip. So you said that you offer trainings for this. Now, do you typically do one-on-one trainings with someone who wants to use the items, or do you offer group trainings at all in the library for people to expose them to your AV center?
So when someone makes an appointment, we make sure at least one staff member is there to get them started and do a quick one-on-one. And there's a lot that it can do. So it really is sort of specific to whatever project they're bringing at the time. But we do also have in our library calendar some group classes that teach you how to use some of the more in-depth software. If you're doing some video editing, we've got Final Cut Pro as well as Premiere Pro on there, which are pretty intensive programs that you're probably not going to pick up in a quick 15-minute crash course. So we do offer classes as well for some of the more in-depth software that it requires.
Got it. So we can't learn that from a 7-year-old on YouTube, because that's where I gain all of my knowledge, quite frankly.
Well, and it really is a good resource.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking to do one specific thing on one of these pieces of software, you really can pinpoint exactly what you're doing with a YouTube tutorial. So I do direct people there as well.
Got it. So, okay. So you said that the sort of brainchild for this program was before you joined the Cheshire Library, but were you a part of the process of finding all of these old, because you're right. I remember there used to be like the little tapes that were in the camcorder, and then the bigger, like regular VHS size tapes that were in the camcorder. So I imagine that there was probably a lot of hunting on eBay to find those things. And did you have to handle sort of the financial side of that, like making sure that y'all didn't go over budget or apply for a grant or that nitty gritty?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And we were lucky enough to have a really good group with our friends at the library that have a really cohesive book sale that brings in a lot of funds there. And so we were fortunate enough to have some of that money set aside. But yeah, that's exactly it. There was sort of a set budget, and then it was, let's see how much and how fluid we can make this project and have as many mediums as we can without going over our cap budget there. But yeah, eBay was definitely involved.
I'm telling that's where you go to find the relics now. And I remember when eBay became a thing, and from the time that eBay came into existence until now, I've never figured out how to use it, and I think I'm okay with that. So exactly what things, and I'm sure the list is long and comprehensive, so don't feel like you need to sort of think about everything that you can do in an AV studio. But my first thought is like tape to, well, my thought was DVD, but that was immediately wrong. So like tape to Google Cloud. But what else can someone do down there? Or what other mediums or modes of AV equipment or transfer equipment are down there?
Yeah, well, most people do end up coming down with either a little flash drive or an external hard drive that can plug right into our system there. Only because some of the files can get pretty large. If you've got hours and hours of footage, can take a long upload if you're sending to the cloud. Also, a lot of some of the older generation that are using it aren't as familiar with cloud storage, and it's preferred to have something take home something
right. Another thing that you can hold. Yeah, the cloud is, I can't explain it. It's one of those things you just kind of know it when you know it. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there are a lot of cloud storage options now. I mean, really anyone who's got a Gmail account essentially has a Google Drive account now that's got some storage there. So there's definitely some upload options if you didn't want to do flash drive. But we do have flash drives for sale right at our reference desk as well.
Yeah, that's nice. So y'all, this idea existed before you got there, and you showed up and they were like, here, take this and make this a thing. And then you're like, okay, so what is the reaction of the community been like? So sort of I'm not sure exactly what the demographics of Cheshire are, if it's sort of mostly an older population or younger population or somewhere in between families, but, sort of how are people reacting to this sort of tech conversion program that you've created for them, and then the training and assistance that y'all can provide to help that work?
So far, it's been a really good response. Everyone who's been using it has been really sort of impressed by the setup, both with the technical aspects of it, as well as the simplicity. Because one of the challenges is not just getting the equipment and putting it out to make possible, but it's got to be set up in a workflow that the general public can can do it without too much confusion.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, I guess that would make sense. So, are you the only one in the library that sort of knows how to do this, or were other staff members trained so that they can help you out when folks come in to use the equipment?
Well, I was definitely the first one to set it up because it was sort of a touch and go inventing process as we went. But now our reference staff is pretty savvy on it as well. So even when
Yeah.
I'm not here, usually there's someone that can get you going on it.
Right. You don't have a line of people waiting for you to with like, jump drives or whatever to help. That's really good.
Sometimes, yeah, but we're trying to keep the staff, really up on it to be able to help at any time.
Do you have any plans to grow the items that you have down there? Like it definitely sort of falls into that makerspace kind of category. I don't know if
Mhm.
y'all have a separate makerspace in Cheshire at all, but do you have any plans to sort of grow what that AV space is now? Because I think there might come a point where we get all the VHS tapes out of our parents' basement. And so, then what might that AV space become? Have you guys thought about that at all?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the AV studio now, I mean, it's even since we put it out to the public, it's sort of ever evolving. Every
Mhm,
time a patron comes in with a new medium that we are not able to accommodate,
mhm,
I'm right back on eBay looking to see how we can do that. Because my goal is really to have any medium you can think of. But
mhm.
I think you're absolutely right, Kim, that ultimately these are either all going to get digitized or all be kind of lost to the wayside.
Mhm.
So in addition to just digitizing the old nostalgic formats, we've got a lot of great modern software on there as far as video editing, audio production, music production. So I mean, if you wanted to come in and write a DJ set and produce your own music, you could do that. If you're coming in with a SD card full of the raw footage from your short film, it's
Really? You guys have that there already, or you're working up to it?
well, the software's already on there. So we've got all this audio editing software, video editing software, as
Mhm.
well as a MIDI keyboard so you can create and play music as well. So that software is already installed. And I think right now
Ah,
the word kind of got out that this is a place to convert your old formats. But I'm
right.
really also trying to push and get a younger audience in to say that, no, this is also a creative space for modern technology as well.
If I'm not mistaken, I might be, but I don't think I am. I think Chance the Rapper recorded whatever his very first song was as Baby Chance in a library U Media Center. I'm almost positive that that's real. Don't quote me, but I'm almost positive that that's a real thing. So
I may have to look that up. Yeah, I mean, it,
look,
it
I was at a training and someone said that. I don't know, he got like suspended or something that day and moseyed on over to a library U Media Center, saw all the equipment. One of the people at the U Media Center taught him how to use the equipment. And the very first song that he, for lack of a better term, professionally recorded was in a library U Media Center. Tell that story. Get the youngins in. I'm
Yeah, I'm
pretty
gonna
sure
have to
it's
look
not a
that up. I
lie.
mean, what a success story. And
Right?
that's sort of the
Exactly.
beauty of the technology now is that you don't need a lot of expensive equipment to necessarily make something look great or sound great.
Yeah, you just need something specific, not necessarily a large quantity, but just, something of quality that can do what you need it to do is what it seems like.
Exactly, exactly. And some of these the software I know like Premiere Pro and the Adobe Suite, they've
Mhm.
switched the format to they want you to pay monthly now as opposed to a one-time
Mm,
purchase, which
mhm.
a lot of people don't want to do at home. So
Yeah.
there's sort of this limitation of, well, I have the vision, but do I have the tools to create it? So I'm really pushing for the AV studio to be a place where it kind of crosses those barriers and lets people create and find their voice without the limitations of either the expense of the
Yeah.
software or the knowledge of
Mhm.
the software.
Well, I mean, and as people who work in libraries, that's exactly what a library is. That is its purpose, is to sort of eliminate some of those financial barriers, but also to give people a safe and comfortable and confined space to try something new, to figure out if that's for them before diving all the way in and sort of making these large investments for something they haven't even tried yet. And I mean, it sounds like you secretly, because I didn't know about this until we organized the CTV, just kind of secretly have been doing that in Cheshire, right down the street. It's not that far from me at all.
Right, right, yeah. So I mean, anybody can pop in and kind of experiment with it and see if maybe they're secretly a DJ or a filmmaker and didn't even know it. You can kind of find your calling here.
And when they do, tell them not to forget about the little libraries that supported them on their
Exactly,
way to
exactly.
fame. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jared. That sounds awesome. I really might have to go visit. I think I was at Cheshire not too long ago and did not know that that was there to go poke into it. So I might have to make a repeat trip because I'm pretty pumped, pretty excited.
Oh, anytime, come down. We'll give you the grand tour.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jared.
Oh, Kim, this was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.